Now in today's video, we're going to talk about the 5 hidden barriers to intimacy in the neurodiverse marriage. I recently did a video called Autistic Hyposexuality is Destroying Our Marriage. And if you've watched that, then you already know something. Now this is not a fringe issue, and it's not a rare issue, and it's not just a phase. The volume of emails and comments and even private messages I received told me one thing very clearly about this issue. This is a deep, unresolved pain point in neurodiverse marriages. And the pain is very specific. For example, the NT wife might say something along the lines of, well, he wanted me constantly when we were first dating. Now he barely touches me. I kind of feel tricked. I didn't sign up for this marriage. It feels undesirable. We're more like roommates nowadays. I feel like I'm just begging for scraps all the time. So that's how painful this issue can be. So today we're going to go deeper. We're going to look at 5 hidden barriers to intimacy in the neurodiverse marriage, especially when the husband is on the autism spectrum. Now, we're going to explore several things here. The neurological roots of hyposexuality and hypersexuality, why that bait and switch feeling happens, and most importantly, we're going to talk about what you can actually do different when making bids for connection. Now, this is not about blame. This is about clarity. So let's get started. Barrier number 1, we're going to call it the dopamine drop after the chase. Now, in early dating, many autistic men appear highly sexual, intensely focused, deeply invested. Why? Because novelty is dopamine. Okay? The early pursuit phase activates reward circuitry, especially the mesolimbic dopamine system. The newness, the unpredictability, and special interest quality of a romantic partner can drive powerful sexual and emotional focus. But here's the shift no one prepares you for. Once the relationship stabilizes, once access is secure, and once novelty decreases, dopamine drops. Now, for autistic men, sexuality is less about relational bonding and more about neurological stimulation. So when the stimulation decreases, desire decreases. But this often is misinterpreted by the NT wife, and why wouldn't it be? She may think, well, he doesn't love me anymore, or he got what he wanted and so I'm just old news now, or he tricked me. I can totally understand why you would think that. From his perspective, he may genuinely not understand why his drive shifted. He's not trying to be manipulative. It's neurological habituation. But we need to come up with something that's realistic here. So let's look at a practical step for NT spouses. We're going to shift from novelty-based bids to structure-based intimacy. So instead of you as the NT wife saying, why don't you ever initiate anymore? Try this. Can we create a predictable rhythm for physical closeness that works for both of us? This works because structure reduces anxiety. Predictability can restore access to connection in ways spontaneous passion no longer does. Barrier number 2, sensory processing differences. Sex is sensory. Touch, smell, heat, sound, skin-to-skin contact. For many men on the autism spectrum, sensory input is not neutral, it's amplified. Hypersexuality can make physical intimacy overwhelming. Hyposensitivity can make it underwhelming. So if he pulls away for 30 seconds of cuddling, it's not rejection. It's probably his nervous system overload. Many NTYs, understandably, interpret withdrawal as I'm too much, he finds me disgusting, he's bored with me, evidently I'm too fat or too ugly nowadays. No. Meanwhile, his body may be screaming, this is just too intense. Or in hypersexual presentations, the opposite can happen. High drive for release, low tolerance for prolonged emotional attunement, and this creates the painful dynamic of sex without intimacy or intimacy without sex. Now here's a practical step for the NT spouse. Make micro bids instead of immersive bids. So instead of full body cuddle initiation, try, can I sit close to you for 5 minutes? Time-bound, clearly defined physical contact is less neurologically threatening. When you reduce ambiguity, you increase safety. Barrier number 3, emotional reciprocity gaps. Many NT spouses don't just want sex. They want to feel wanted, desired, chosen, pursued. Here's the hidden issue. Autistic men may experience desire internally, but not express it externally in recognizable ways. The NT partner often measures intimacy by eye contact, tone changes, physical initiation, emotional language, and if those cues are muted, she feels invisible, and why wouldn't she? But then he may think, whoa, we had sex, what's wrong? She might be thinking, well, you were physically present but emotionally absent. It's like making love to a hologram or a robot. This mismatch creates what I call parallel loneliness. You're in the same bed, but not in the same emotional world. So here's a practical step for the NT spouse. Translate desire into observable behaviors. Instead of waiting for spontaneous pursuits, say this. You know, when you initiate physical touch without me having to ask you, I feel wanted. That really matters to me. Be very concrete. Autistic cognition responds better to clarity than inference. This is not lowering the bar, it's defining the bar. Now let's look at barrier number 4, the bait and switch experience. We're going to talk about the most emotionally loaded piece here. Many NT wives describe dating as passionate, focused, attentive, sexual, engaged, but then the post-marriage or post-children phase, she experiences withdrawal, special interest replaces her, decreased initiation, emotional flatness, and it feels like deception, and why wouldn't it? But here's what's often happening neurologically. During courtship, masking is high. Autistic men may hyper-focus on her, override sensory discomfort, suppress fatigue, perform social scripts learned from observation, but bear in mind that masking takes a lot of effort and energy. Marriage is safety, and when safety increases, masking decreases. The shift feels like betrayal to the NT spouse, but for him, it feels like relief. I can just be myself now. Now that doesn't invalidate her grief, but it does reframe the cause. Now let's look at a practical step for the NT spouse. Move from accusation to curiosity. Instead of, well, you were different before we got married. Try, what was different for you during dating that made intimacy easier? This question uncovers effort patterns instead of triggering defensiveness. Barrier number 5, anxiety, control, and performance pressure. Did you know that sex requires vulnerability? And vulnerability activates uncertainty, and uncertainty activates anxiety. For autistic men with a high need for predictability, this can shut down desire. Here's some common hidden drivers. Fear of doing it wrong, difficulty reading your cues as his NT wife, past criticism, erectile challenges linked to anxiety, pornography as a controlled, predictable alternative. If intimacy feels like a performance evaluation, withdrawal becomes protective, and you can expect him to pull away. Hypersexuality can also function as anxiety discharge, seeking regulation rather than connection. So here's a practical step for the NT wife there. Reduce evaluative energy. Instead of, why don't you ever want me? Try, what helps you feel relaxed before we're physical? Lowering performance pressure increases approach behaviors. Safety precedes desire, always. Now let's talk about making bids for connection that are less triggering. Here are 5 shifts that dramatically reduce rejection cycles. Make a request specific and time-bound. Reduce emotional ambiguity. Separate sex from validation. Ask about sensory thresholds. Create ritual instead of relying on spontaneity. For example, instead of, well, you never touch me, try, could we sit together on the couch for 10 minutes tonight? Okay. Small wins, rebuild trust. Now, if you're the NT spouse watching this and feeling grief, your pain makes sense. And if you're the autistic husband watching this and feeling attacked, you're not broken. Neurodiverse intimacy is not impossible, but it's also not going to be automatic. It requires translation, structure, and intentional safety building. Now, if this video resonated, comment below. Which barrier felt most familiar? And if you want a deeper training on rebuilding intimacy in the neurodiverse marriage, I'll link the next step below in the description and also pinned in the comment section. You're not alone in this, and clarity is the beginning of change. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Would you like to schedule a paid private coaching session? This will be in the form of a face-to-face Zoom call. Underneath any of my videos, you'll see this Calendly link. If you click on that link, it'll open up my calendar. You can pick the available days and times that works for your schedule. You'll get a follow-up email immediately after purchasing a session that will have the Zoom link that coincides with the day and time that you picked. I will get an email too that you scheduled a session, and I will be available on that exact day and time, and we will talk. I look forward to working with you.